The 308 is to Peugeot what the Golf is to Volkswagen or the 3 Series is to BMW. It is a very important model. So when it comes to replacing one generation with the next, they can't afford to stray too far from the proven recipe. In other words, if it ain't broke, don't change it too much because you might alienate those loyal customers who have made the model the success that it is. For Peugeot, that should mean a subtle reworking of the previous generation's styling while sticking to a mildly upgraded interior. I'm happy to report that this isn't just a mild upgrade. The previous generation wasn't too bad, but this one completely blows it away. The obvious strong point is the design. Peugeot have done away with about 95% of the switches and replaced them with a touchscreen interface, which is itself a vast improvement over any of the company's other attempts. It's prettier and easier to use, and although it's not as good as its competition, it's much better than it ever was. The rest of the interior is superb. Our top-of-the-range GT line test car gets leather and Alcantara seats with massage function, and the list of standard features is impressive. The materials and ergonomics are also worth mentioning. Peugeot have incorporated their design idea of having the instrument cluster mounted above a small steering wheel, which makes sense in a lot of ways, and not just because you get a steering wheel that feels great. Sadly though, they've persisted with their functionally useless cubbyhole, which is barely big enough to fit an iPad mini. Similarly restricted is the view out of the rear window, although space in the rear is good enough. The styling changes are just as unsubtle as the interior changes. The shape is still regulation hatchback, but gone is the long front end with its slanty elements, and it's been replaced with something that's a little less French, a little more mainstream, but just as good looking. The GT line gets some fancy extras like integrated tailpipes and full LED lighting, including an Audi-inspired touch. I'm a little undecided about the reason this car gets the attention that it does. Either it's because it's recognized as an important new model and so it's worth a second look, or it's because, quite simply, it's a good-looking car. Whichever it is, the bottom line is that on looks alone, the 308 is a worthy competitor. So, with the 308 being a very important model and our test car being the best example of that very important model, you'd think they'd fit it with an engine that's worth boasting about. Maybe a strong 2-litre or 1600 turbo. So, have Peugeot fitted this car with something like that? No. It's a modest 1200. Is it worth boasting about? Absolutely. The 3-cylinder turbo is the only option in the range at the moment, and in the lesser active model it puts out 81 kilowatts. In here though, we've got 96 kilowatts and 230 newton meters, and Peugeot's fuel consumption claim is 4.8 litres per 100 k's. It's got great power off the line, and as long as you keep the revs between about 2,800 and 4,000 RPM, it's got decent in-gear tractability too. The only weak point of the easy, enjoyable drive is the shift action of the 6-speed manual, which could be better. It can sometimes feel a little sticky. The chassis is also kind of sticky, but that's a good thing because it means a lot of fun in the corners. The 308 delivers grip where you sometimes would expect understeer, and it's always very composed. In a way, it's kind of sad that they haven't fitted it with a motor that can fully exploit the chassis. But then again, it makes me think that the GTI version of this car is going to be spectacular. Depending on which internet source you choose to believe, the new GTI will have anywhere between 180 and 200 kilowatts, and as long as they're able to tame the front end of a car with that much power, Peugeot should have a winner on their hands. Not that what they have now is something they shouldn't be proud of, because along with its looks and its well-packaged interior and impressive motor, the 308 has another talent. And that's refinement. The interior goes a long way to helping with that, and the ride setup is smooth and comfortable, but even the engine plays its part. 3-cylinders generally are quite gruff little things, but when you bring the 308 to a complete stop, you hear about the same thing you'd hear in an S-Class. Nothing. It is incredibly quiet, the kind of quiet that makes you think the start-stop system is active, even when it's not. All in all, the 308 has the road manners to match its sophisticated interior and much improved styling. It's very impressive all round. And that's besides the fact that they didn't just play it safe. They didn't massage the looks and upgrade a few interior plastics. They completely reinvented the model. And now they have something that looks great, drives well, feels good, and at the same time should give the competition something to worry about. The 1200 3-cylinder turbo puts out 96 kilowatts and 230 newton meters in the higher spec 308. Impressive power all through the rev range makes it one of the best 3-cylinders around. The reinvented 308 is not just better than the old car, but something that should give Peugeot a strong contender in the market. The manual shift action could be better though.